Texans fans, I'm calling all y'all on this one right now. I am one subscriber away, one lonely push of the button away from 4,500 subs, a huge milestone on this channel. If you haven't already, go down and hit that sub button, or if you have some friends who are Texans fans, send that link, youtube.com/TexansTV, because we're going to be live this Sunday, Texans versus Saints watch party, 7 p.m. Central Time. I don't want you to miss out, so go down and hit that sub button to the best Texans channel on YouTube. Now on today's video, I have 5 Texans players playing for their job this weekend, or you might see them in the McDonald's drive-thru coming up in the next couple of weeks. These 5 guys really need to step it up against the Saints. First guy, right off the bat, Austin Deckless. We've talked about him for the past 2 weeks about his, not being there to protect C.J. Stroud, not playing at the level we need him to play. I'm going to break down Austin in just a second, but speaking of playing for their jobs, I am hosting for my job right now. I need you to go down and grade me as the new Texans host. I've been at it for about 2.5, 3 weeks now. I want you to be brutally honest in the comments. Grade me as the Texans host, A, B, C, D, or F. I need 100 comments or else. What is the or else? I didn't get that part. My boss just said, I need 100 comments or else. So go down there, be honest, grade me A, B, C, D, or F. If it's anything below a B, let me know what I can improve, because I'm trying to make this the best Texans channel out there in the universe. All right, going back to guys playing for their jobs for the Texans, not for Chat Sports, it's Austin Deckless. Like I said, he has been a liability on the Texans offensive line, stepping in for Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard at the tackle spots. He needs to play better. And, the only saving grace that Deckless might have coming up is the Texans' lack of offensive line depth with guys getting hurt. Charlie Heck has yet to play at all in the training camp or preseason. Titus Howard won't be ready till either week 1 or week 2 with that broken right hand, but this isn't going to cut it right here. Austin Deckless, his first 2 games, PFF was not friendly to this young man. Against the Patriots, an overall grade of 56.6. Run blocking grade, decent, 60.6. But look at that. Pass block grade, 45.9. If you brought a test home to your mom or dad and it had a 45.9 on it, yeah, things would not be going well. Against the Dolphins, a little bit better, a 62 overall grade, 60.7 in run blocking. And he did a little bit better in the pass blocking department. But I just got to say this. If at any point during the regular season the Texans have to turn to Austin Deckless, it is bad news for C.J. Stroud, because he is not able to stop a cold out there in the preseason, and I would hate to see what he looks like going up against starters for opposing teams. Me, personally, I am very concerned about the Texans' offensive line depth, but this isn't Jeremy Sports, this is Chat Sports. That's the biggest thing about this channel is I need you. I need everybody out there, y'all's interaction down in the comments section. What do you think? Are you concerned about this Texans offensive line, the depth? If somebody gets hurt, the next guy stepping up? If you are, give me a Y for yes. If not, give me an N for no down in the comments section. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video, so you're going to get hit with the YouTube ad break. Perfect timing. Go down there and give me your answer. Next up, it might be surprising, the rookie out of Iowa State, Xavier Hutchinson, is next up on my list for guys playing for their jobs. And I don't think this is necessarily Hutchinson playing for his job as in a roster spot, because I think he might be the 6th guy that the Texans keep at the wide receiver position. But in terms of getting playing time during the regular season, Hutchinson has not helped himself. 4 targets, only 2 receptions, 22 yards. He had a drop against the Dolphins, a big one on, a third down play. Xavier needs to play better. He needs to show out in this last preseason game, because personally, all the clips I've been seeing out of practice, this young man has been balling out. He's been doing great in joint practices against the Dolphins. He looked fantastic, but that's not translating to the preseason games so far. Against the Patriots, against the Dolphins, I really didn't see a ton out of Xavier Hutchinson. As you see on the Texans depth chart right here, 1 through 5, I think these guys are solidified. That 6th spot, if Humphreys, if one of these other guys can jump him, I think the Texans are only keeping 6. But if Xavier Hutchinson wants to make this team, if he wants to get any playing time during the regular season. He has to step it up. He has to play better in this last preseason game that we're going to be live for against the Saints Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Time. He needs to play a lot better, in my opinion. And hey, perfect timing. This Sunday against the Saints, you can bet on that game with our sportsbook sponsor, BetUS. All you got to do, go to chatsports.com/Brett, use promo code CHAT125, and they're going to give you a 125% deposit bonus. Hey, if you don't know what that means if you put in $100, they're going to give you $125 for free to bet with when you use our link and promo code down below. And not only betting on the preseason games, you can also bet futures. My favorite future, my bet that I'm going Will Anderson to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Right now, he's plus 350. For those who are new to betting, that means if you put $10 down on Will Anderson, if you risk $10, you could win $35 if he wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm putting that bet down at BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet, promo code CHAT125 to get the deal right now. Next up on my Texans playing for their job this Sunday, Teagan Quitoriano. He's been hurt a lot of the training camp preseason, and I was really personally excited to see him get out there against the Miami Dolphins, and then he goes out and he drops 2 passes. You know, not what you want to see out of the presumptive tight end number 2. He's going to get playing time this season, whoever the tight end 2 is. Dalton Schultz, obviously the lead in the Texans tight end room, but a lot of people were expecting Teagan to be that second guy. He's been injured. He's been missing training camp, and then he comes out and drops 2 passes against the Dolphins. Not looking good for Big Q. And kind of lurking right there behind him is Brevin Jordan. Now, he's been hurt as well throughout the preseason and training camp. But the question still begs, who's going to be the second tight end on this depth chart? Is it going to be Brevin Jordan? Is it going to be Teagan Quitoriano? Let me know what you think down in the comment section. I still think Teagan has the slight advantage, but if he's dropping passes, he's not going to be tight end 2 for very long. What do you think, though? Give me a TQ if you think it's Teagan Quitoriano, or if you really know balls and you think it's Brevin Jordan, go down there and give me a BJ. Next up on my Texans playing for their jobs this Sunday, Kurt Hinish. And this one surprised me a little bit whenever I was looking at it because I was really high on Kurt Hinish. You know, 420, I was really, really up there with Kurt Hinish after the first game against the Patriots. But the second game against the Dolphins, he just didn't look like himself. He had more snaps against the Dolphins, but you look at the stats here, he only had 1 tackle compared to 2. 0 tackles for loss compared to 2 against the Patriots. Didn't have a sack, didn't have a QB pressure, but he had 20 more snaps against the Dolphins. And when the Dolphins were really getting their running game going, I was expecting Kurt Hinish to step up and kind of being that stalwart in the middle of the defense. And he wasn't able to stop anything against the Miami Dolphins. And even though he really impressed me against the Patriots, we've seen it time and time again. Players who, you know, they show out during the preseason. They play really good for 1 or 2 games, and they don't end up making the team. I don't know if that will happen to Kurt Hinish. I really hope it doesn't because he has a lot of potential being a defensive tackle for the Texans this season. But it starts to make me wonder, is he a flash in the pan? I really want to see him come out and prove me wrong against the Saints this Sunday. But he's one guy who I'm looking at in the last preseason game. I really think he needs to play well to keep his spot on the roster. And the last player on my list playing for their job this Sunday, it's Corey Littleton. They signed him in free agency this offseason, the veteran linebacker, but this linebacking room is kind of getting a little overcrowded if you ask me. I don't know if they're going to keep 5. I don't know if they're going to keep 6. The only thing I know is that I believe these 4 guys right here, they're locks. And on final roster cutdown day, August 29th, these guys, they're going to be making the final roster. Denzel Perryman, Christian Harris, Blake Cashman, those have been your 3 starters throughout the preseason on all the depth charts the Texans have put out. They're not going to cut rookie Henry To'oTo'o from Alabama. But these next 5 guys, they really have to work their ass off if they want to make the team. Christian Kirksey, Corey Littleton, I'm looking at you two, the 2 veterans in the locker room, fighting for a final roster spot. Jake Hansen has played pretty well. Neville Hewitt, he's flashed here and there during the preseason, and Garrett Wallow as well. But I really wonder Out of these 5 guys, who makes the roster? Do the Texans go with a veteran like Christian Kirksey or Corey Littleton, who they know is able to play in this league, or do they take the upside with somebody like Jake Hansen, Garrett Wallow, Neville Hewitt? It's really going to depend on this last preseason game. That's why I said these guys are fighting for their roster spot this Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Time. We'll be there. You better be there too. Or you're not a real one and you're not a Texans fan, because if you're a real one, you're a Texans fan, you want to see who's going to make this roster, who's going to rep the Houston Texans this season. And if you're also a real one, you got to subscribe to the Best Texans channel here on YouTube. Simply go down there and hit the sub button, or go to youtube.com/TexansTV if you're a real one and you want to be a part of the Best Texans channel here on YouTube.